Hello amigos, this is Pablo Garcia, the engineer photographer. If you had seen my videos before, you know I like to take close-up images or macro images. And to do that, over the last few years, I've been using lenses like right now, the RF 100 to 500, and before that, the EF 100 to 400. They're telephoto zooms, but they provide very good results, as you can see in this image of a dragonfly that I took a few days ago. They're not macro lenses, they're telephoto lenses, but you can get some nice results. Or you can use a set of extension rings on other lenses that you may have. So for some time, I've been waiting for Canon to release the new RF 100 F2.8 macro. And for over 2 weeks, I checked the online Canon store at least twice a day, and I got lucky that for a few minutes, the lens was in stock. And I got my very own RF 100 a few days ago. Now, this lens works very well. That's the bottom line. I really like it. Let's talk about some of the technical specs. The weight of the lens is 1.6 pounds or 730 grams. And even though that sounds like a lot, I think it feels well balanced, at least on the R5 camera that I'm using. F2.8, but it goes all the way to F32, and I'll show you some of the images that I've been able to take. Now, as a macro lens, we expect the minimum focus distance to be short, and it is. The minimum focus distance of this lens is 10.2 inches or 26 centimeters. And that does sound like a lot, but it's actually measured from where the sensor is on the camera, not from the end of the lens. So I have this ruler here. If you imagine that the sensor is right here on the body of the camera, and this is the end of the lens. So that's the minimum focus distance, 10.2 inches. If we measure it from the end of the lens, the minimum focus distance is 3.6 inches or 9 centimeters. And if you have the hood on, the minimum focus distance is 1.8 inches or 4.5 centimeters. So that's very close. As a macro lens, you can get very close, and I'll show you some of those images. The lens has a number of controls. First, the lens does come with a hood, and let's talk about the hood. What I like about this hood is actually it has a button that you press so you can then remove it. And this is really good because I don't know about you, but I have lost a number of hoods, including one in a canyon in Moab that I wasn't able to retrieve. The lens has, like our RF lenses, a control ring that you can assign a function to it. And on my lenses, I typically assign the focus area selection from single point to expanded to half to full and so on. Has the focus ring and the new ring called the SA control. Well, the SA control stands for spherical aberration. That does allow you to change kind of the quality of the focus, the soft focus, and kind of the quality of the background. It gives you an additional artistic control. Let's see how that works. Here I have this image I took. These are some decoration LED lights, really small. I was focused on this one right here. This is with the ring right at the middle point, and you can see the background is soft. I'm at F2.8. If I rotate the ring clockwise all the way to the negative side, this is the image. I didn't change. The camera was on a tripod. It did push the lights back. The subject became a little smaller. And I think he added a little definition to the background. Again, this is the original image. The background is very soft. And here's the other image with additional more definition to the background. If you rotate counterclockwise all the way to the positive side, this is the image that you get. It brings everything forward, but the background becomes a lot softer. It does require, because it's changing the relative position of your main subject or your focus point, for you to refocus every time you move the SA ring. I still don't know what to make out of this new SA ring. It's just another artistic tool that we have to change the character or the focus of our images. And I just had to experiment with it. If you have this lens, please share some of the images that you take and what kind of results that you get. Now, how well does this lens actually work as a macro lens? Well, to do that, I went to the Botanic Gardens here in the city of Albuquerque to take some images of flowers and butterflies. And I was hand holding. It wasn't practical to use a tripod there. And I like hand holding when I'm taking images. You know, I find the tripod to be too confining. I'm not patient enough. So let's see some of those images. As I was telling you, the minimum focus distance is really close, so you can get really up close and personal with the flowers and whatever things you are photographing. This image was taken at f2.8. I have my focus point right here on the center with this little insect on the center of the flower. I like how soft the petals are. I think it came out really nice. This is my final edited image. This is the raw image and the edited image under it. You saw I did a minor crop, but with 45 megapixels on the Canon R5, you have a lot of latitude for cropping. Here you have another image of a backlit flower, and if I show you, I just did a minor crop and enhancing some of the colors. But I liked overall the texture that I was able to get, also taken at f2.8. Here's yet another flower. I focus on the center in this area right here, also taken at f2.8, and you can see how soft the rest of the flower is. With f2.8, of course, your depth of field is very shallow. And this one I cropped a little bit more, but again, with 45 megapixels, you have a lot of room for cropping. And here's another flower, also at f2.8. And I was trying to get the center to be sharp enough, but really at f2.8, I just didn't have enough depth of field for this flower. I wish I had taken this one at f10 or higher to get more of the center of the flower in focus. Now, I wanted to try some different f-stops, and here's this other image. This one is actually full frame. I didn't crop it. And this one is taken at f9. I'm able to get more of the front of the flower in focus by going to f2.8. But I like the effect that it created on the long petals of this flower. A little bit of definition right here towards the center of the flower, and then the soft focus going out. Here's another one, also taken at f9. And I was focusing in this area right here, trying to have some definition in this part of the flower, but you can see how fast you can lose the focus on the back, but I like the overall effect. Let me show you the full image. Again, I did some minor cropping for arranging the composition at the end, but overall, you know, I think the cropping was probably 20% of what I did. Now, this one was taken here at my house. I wanted to go a little higher on f-stop, so this one is at f10, a smaller aperture. I wanted to get a bigger area in focus in this part of the flower, and I was able to achieve that by going to f10. And you can see the softness on the rest of the flower as well. The other thing that I wanted to do was to photograph some butterflies. And I like going to the butterfly pavilion at the Botanic Garden because the butterflies, they're different kinds and they're used to having people around. Usually they will come to a flower and stay there for a few seconds. You can get up and close and try sometimes different compositions. Here you have this first image. This one is taken at f2.8. The area of focus is very narrow, but I like the overall effect. I'm focusing right here on the eye of the butterfly. And if you have the R5 and the R6 camera with eye focus, I find it that about 10-20% of the time, if the angle is right, angles like this one, eye focus will lock on the head of the butterfly. If you're looking at it from the top or from a different angle, it won't work. But when it works really good. And on this case, I was able to keep the focus on the eye of the butterfly. And it was a minor crop from the overall frame. This butterfly stayed there for quite some time, so I was able to change composition a bit. This one is also taken at f2.8. You can see how sharp the eye, this area of the butterfly, and even the tongue, and this area that they curve, it came out really nice. And in this one I did more of a cropping. I wanted to get rid of this, I don't know if it's a butterfly or a flower, blue flower that was on the background that I found very distracting. So I end up cropping perhaps 50% of the image to try to get a better composition. But overall, it worked out very nice, I think. And at f2.8, it really throws out of focus all of the background. Here is another image taken from the front. Again, these butterflies are not very shy. They stay there. And I was able to get up close and personal and focus on the head of the butterfly. And this one has a slight crop, as you can see here. And overall, very good degree of sharpness on the head of the butterfly, on the edge of this wing right here, and then kind of soft focus on the rest of the image. Now, this one is taken at f5, so more depth of field. And I was focusing right here on the eye of the butterfly. And with f5, I have more depth of field than at f2.8, and I'm able to get good area of focus from the tip of the mouth, the eye, and even the neck of the butterfly. And this one is full frame. I didn't crop at all, and I like the overall effect. I think f5 was a good balance of providing me enough depth of field, throwing the background out of focus since there are a lot of flowers and people moving around. F5 seems to be a good balance. So this was a quick review. I am really liking this lens. Like I said, I waited for it for months. It's my first macro lens ever. I'm planning to get in a lot of use of it. This set of images that I just showed you, they're just the tip of the iceberg. It's a very sharp lens. It couples really well with the R5. I'm loving this combination. I'll show you some more of the images I'm able to take with this great combination in future videos. I still don't know what to make out of the S8 ring or the bokeh control ring. It's going to go by different names. I think it's just going to give us another option to play with the backgrounds and areas of focus. Let's see what other people that are more creative than me are able to get. Well, I hope you like this short review of my first impression of the RF100 f2.8 macro. If you're liking these videos, please don't forget to subscribe. Tell a friend about this channel. Send me comments. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time.